battle that we're engaged in. There's some sick people out there in the world, and they unfortunately are hell-bent on dominating everybody. It's extremely worrisome, but a lot of people are becoming demoralized by it all. They're feeling like there's absolutely nothing that we could possibly do, and I'm afraid, my friends, that this is all part of the psyop. Part of the psyop, part of the agenda is to get you to feel weak, impotent, and powerless. We're going to talk about the Trump loyalty cult, how even though Trump is involved in a massive cover-up, people are still making excuses for him. And finally, we're going to tie it all together with what you can actually do about this, justice that you can take. And no, we're not talking about showing up and rounding up the goons and the pedophiles. No, my friends, we're talking about withdrawing our consent to be governed by satanic pedophiles and operating in the private realm and using exit and build strategy to lower our dependence on the very systems which seek to enslave us. That's what we're doing here on the Live Free Now show. So stick around and we're going to break it down. I want to start today's program by sharing a story from maybe it was about 6 months ago, a year ago. I was hanging out at a good friend's house. His name is Tim, and he hosts this men's group retreat every year. It's a great time, I tell you what. Tim's done well for himself, and he's got an amazing ranch here in Central Texas. He's a Christian man. He's got a great family, and he invites a bunch of buddies from all different parts of his life to his ranch once a year. Ryan comes and some other folks that have become friends over the past couple of years. And so at this ranch outing, I always meet new people. And there was a younger gentleman who we were talking shop. And he was pretty well versed when it came to economics and libertarianism. And of course, the conversation about Epstein comes up, and I just went straight for the jugular and wanted to make the point that I do not believe there is a political solution to any of this, because in large part, the mainstream institutions, those governments and corporations and universities and media, in large part, they are controlled by satanic pedophiles. And there has been an effort, an agenda to create a totalitarian government, a global government. That agenda has been at play for quite some time, and the agenda is being led by satanic pedophiles. And while this young gentleman would agree with me on just about everything, it seems as though the one thing that he resisted the most was the idea that we're governed and in large part controlled by satanic pedophiles. Now, if you've been a conspiracy researcher for quite some time, this may be something that you have known about, something that you've shared about, whether it is Bohemian Grove or some of these secret societies or cults or whatever it may be. But now this is all coming to light through the Epstein files. And I want to shout out my good friend Derek Bros, who actually was featured in the Epstein files in a way. There is a letter, an email that was written. I'm going to pull it up here. This is what he shared on his Telegram. Shout out to my good friend Derek Bros. This was actually a letter. It's a little bit difficult to see. Let me see if we could download it here. Well, I'll just read it for you. On November 29, 2018, Ronald Weisner, businessman, former Republican politician and donor, emailed someone. The name was redacted. They redacted everything about his documentary, Bringing Down Jeffrey Epstein, which is pretty wild. So this... that was a documentary that Derek made. The video by The Conscious Resistance gives a good story of this, summary of this story, an imminent court case. Pretty wild, pretty wild. They emailed a link there. So kudos to my good friend Derek Bros for getting mentioned in there. But a lot of people have been shouting from the rooftops about Epstein for quite some time, but there's been massive cover-ups. There has been massive chicanery in the court system, a complete lack of justice. But now through immense pushing, the Epstein files are finally coming to light, albeit heavily redacted. And there's a huge response coming. So there's a few things that I want to break down in this program. As we shared in our brief introduction, I want to point out that there's a demoralization play taking place. The lack of justice speaks volumes, and people are taking it in a different way. And I'm going to conclude our program today by sharing with you how I take it. And I'm going to give you a call to action to take responsibility into your own hands, not for any type of violence, because that most definitely is being shouted from the rooftops as well. We need to go after them. And if the government's not going to hold them accountable, it's up to we, the people, to show up with pitchforks and torches. And the people shouting all that stuff at the end of the day aren't going to do a damn thing, right? And I just saw a comment there off this corner of my eye that I'm going to respond to. So thank you, Most Dope 2536, for viewing the show. I got some commentary to share about your comment, but first let me recap again. There's a demoralization campaign taking place because of the immense lack of justice. There's also what I see as blind MAGA loyalty taking place. And look, I love doing this show live. We're going to continue to do the show live. I hope to invite you guys to subscribe to my YouTube channel, wherever the button may be, here or here. We're trying to grow the show. I've thought about pre-recording the show and then releasing it because that seems to be what all the big popular podcasts are doing. But I like doing the show live so I can engage in the comments and so we can just show up 11 a.m. and knock it out. So if you're just joining us, this is the Live Free Now show, where every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central, I bring you the news, views, tips, and tools you can use to live a free, prosperous, and healthy life. Most of you that are watching have not yet subscribed. I want to invite you to subscribe at this moment. The other thing I want to talk about in this program is the blind Trump loyalty. And to illustrate that, and I don't want to push you away from the program there, Miss Most Dope. But Most Dope says, I wonder if that's him. He's kind of got a look like our good friend down from Miami. What's that guy's name? Dun, 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 woo, woo, dun, 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 dun. Mission Worldwide to Infinity. We're going to light the roof on fire. What's that guy's name? Anyway, he says, thank goodness Trump made it a law when Biden and Obama refused. Now, for some of you, you may be thinking he's being sarcastic, but I think that he's being totally serious, because I have found and witnessed this phenomenon where MAGA, the Make America Great movement, seems to be engaging in mental gymnastics to the point where they all of a sudden are making it as though Trump is the good guy in this situation, when in all reality, Trump wholeheartedly has been an active participant in the cover-up. And it's my firm belief that the only reason he ever even brought it up on the campaign trail was to gain votes. And what's most telling of all is the multiple press conferences that he had and the refrain that he kept putting forward, in that he would say, you guys are still on this Jeffrey Epstein thing? It's clearly a Democrat hoax. That's what he started to say when I believe he probably finally started reviewing the files. But let's make no mistakes, my friends. Trump was great friends with Epstein. And now the thing that immediately springs up in the minds of MAGA is, yeah, but he distanced himself and he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago and all this stuff. And he alerted him to the FBI. He did so when it became expedient, politically expedient, because the heat started getting brought down on Epstein. Trump's an opportunist. Trump cares about the optics, but above all else, Trump is in on this whole shadow government. He is not an enemy of the deep state. He is very much embedded in the shadow government. He is accelerating technocracy at a rapid rate. And if I could communicate one thing to Trump supporters, is that I would hope you would recognize that Trump is completely controlled and under the influence of Zionist Israel. Zionist Israel. And Most Dope, I appreciate you watching again, my friend, and I hope that you'll stick around with us, and I hope I can offer you a different perspective, because as you say, it's been weaponized by Democrats. Just look at the new survivors. Just really want to encourage you to break out of this left-right Democrat-Republican paradigm, because it's not serving us as Americans in the least bit. It gets us caught in a reactionary divide and conquer paradigm where all we see is, if it's not our team, it necessarily must be bad. How do we define our positions? We're against their positions. And then it turns us into this blinder situation. It also puts us in a position where we give blind loyalty to politicians that aren't aligned with our principles in the least bit. And then whenever they get attacked or whenever truth comes to light, we write it off as some sort of attack from the Democrats, when nothing could be further from the truth. It's absolutely painstakingly clear that Donald Trump is engaged in a cover-up right now. And to really illustrate that and bring that home, I want to share something that's kind of hard to read, but I'm going to read it here on the air. And I was going to bring this up when I talked about the spiritual side of this, but I think it also serves to illustrate the lack of action on the Trump administration, because I think it's pretty well known that Pam Bondi and other Department of Justice officials had access to this material. They reviewed the material. At one point, she said there's nothing there. Another point, she said she viewed the videos and it's absolutely appalling. Well, I don't know if anybody's seen this piece that just came out recently. So Mr. Most Dope 2536, if your good friend Donald Trump really is trying to make a difference here in this world, then I want to invite you to ponder why he hasn't done anything about this. While media stories have stated Epstein and Maxwell's victims were mostly teenagers, there is evidence that suggests they also abused younger girls. Jean-Luc Brunel reportedly provided Epstein a birthday gift of 12-year-old triplets, Epstein victims stated in the Netflix documentary Who Killed Jeffrey Epstein, that when she worked as a receptionist at the New York City mansion about 1995, little girls were also going in and out. A phone message slip referred to Russian lessons from 2 times 8-year-olds. And then down below, I imagine this is a description of a video. So again, Most Dope, if you're still watching, I just really want to challenge you to think about, why would the Department of Justice, which is led and controlled by Donald Trump at this moment, why would they not be taking greater action to hold people accountable, were it not for them covering up in large part for the nation state of Israel and the Zionists that are so influential over the United States government in its entirety? Not to mention, it's been clearly documented by the likes of Whitney Webb that the Epstein operation is a brownstone operation. That's where you blackmail people that are in positions of power by putting them in compromising positions. It's a brownstone operation that's in large part led by Israel's intelligence agency, Mossad. If you look at the campaign contributions that Trump got, if you look at the actions that he's taken, if you look at how he has absolutely bent the knee for Bibi Netanyahu, it becomes painstakingly clear that Trump is very far from America first. And maybe you guys should call your movement MIGA, Make Israel Great Again, because that's what's taking place here. But let's read this piece, and I just want to encourage you, like, if you're faint of heart, you might want to stop the transmission here. But this is a description of a photo. Says the photo shows a girl, her face visible, who looks prepubescent with medium-length dark hair. Several Caucasian men are holding the girl's legs spread open. Her vagina is visible and gashed, and there's blood coming out. In the photo's foreground, a man with a white shirt appears to be inserting his hand or something into her vagina. A round imprinted symbol of some kind is visible on the girl's leg, on the underside of her left thigh. In the photo's right-hand corner, there's an arm with a green shirt visible. An arm holds the girl's knee in the air. So if in fact Trump is some sort of savior and we should thank Trump for having these Epstein files released, I just really want to encourage you, most dope 2536, and anybody watching this that may have some sort of loyalty still to Donald Trump, to ask yourself, why would they not have held folks accountable? Instead of holding people accountable that have engaged in some of the most egregious actions one could ever even fathom, like next level abuse, as if teenage girls being sold into sexual slavery wasn't enough. Now we have prepubescent children, obviously abused, extremely used as less than human beings. Why, instead of prosecuting these people, would the Trump administration redact their names? So just the MAGA loyal folks, like, I just want to take it a step deeper. And I struggle with this because I'd love to go on a campaign, like really trying to engage with people. I'm not sure that it's the best use of my time because people have so very much just given up any semblance of critical thinking. I just really want to take it a step deeper because people look at surface level stuff, and we got most dope back on the left-right paradigm. The punch was already spiked before Trump got there. This means that Epstein really did horrible things, but under Obama, Biden, they weaponized it to make it look like Trump was involved. Oh, my friend, I just want to share with you that it's okay to admit to yourself that perhaps you were sold a bill of goods when it comes to Trump. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're less of a person. It doesn't mean you're a fool. It just means that you had a mistake of character. You misjudged Donald Trump. But here's the challenge, my friends, and here's the challenge with politics in general. When we put our faith in another human being, when we abrogate the responsibility for creating a world that we desire, we give that power away to someone else. And now you're bringing up the Russia hoax. We're not talking about the Russia hoax. We're talking about the Epstein files. We're talking about the Trump administration's involvement in the cover-up. And we're talking about the lack of prosecution and complete lack of justice that has taken place while Trump is in power. What you're doing right now is called mental gymnastics. And I hope that other Trump supporters are watching as well. So, and again, to try to make things easier for Trump supporters to accept, and this is what I was sharing some of my relationships too, when I became a little bit more emotionally mature, when I wanted to provide somebody feedback. And this is something I knew about myself as well. I would first say, look, I want to share some stuff, but I just want to let you know and me know, like, this doesn't mean that we're bad people. It doesn't mean that you're wrong or that you're less than or that you're not worthy of love or whatever it may be. So to preface a conversation in which I'm putting in a solid effort to try to reach people and break them out of blind loyalty, which leads to all sorts of problems in this world. I just want to, again, reiterate, it is perfectly okay to have misjudged a politician who you thought was one thing based on what they campaigned on, but it turns out that they were something altogether different. It's okay. It happens. In 2004, I voted for John Kerry. And in 2006, I supported the Democrat Party because I thought they were going to end the war in Iraq. And then they simply increased the funding. And instead of just coming up with reasons why I'm still a Democrat and the Democrats are still good, I just pulled back and said, wow, maybe instead of there being two distinct parties that have different policies, when it really comes down to it, it's two legs, two arms of the same beast system. And when it comes to the Federal Reserve, when it comes to towing the line for Israel, when it comes to the income tax, when it comes to endless foreign wars of aggression, when it comes to covering up the satanic pedophile conspiracy, both of the parties are on the same page. There's just little itty bitty nuances and breadcrumbs that they want everyone to fight over. So I was able to just quiet my ego for a moment. Whew. It's okay, John. You erred on this one. You made a mistake. It's okay. You're human. It doesn't mean you're a total piece of shit. You're only a partial piece of shit. So I just want to throw that out there. The challenge, my friends, when you put faith into a politician and when you campaign for someone and when you get so worked up into a left versus right, or we absolutely have to do something because Biden and Kamala Harris and the Democrats and the deep state, they're just so bad. They're so bad. We have so much faith in this person. We're going to tell everyone about them, even to the detriment of our personal relationships with family members. That should be way more important than any political campaign. And when we do such a thing, our ego gets embedded and ingrained with this person. And it kind of like creates this phenomenon where we feel our loyalty to them is tied up within our self-worth. And that makes it extremely challenging for us to see that when they have faults. And we don't want to see it because it means that we're less than, we're wrong, we're not worthy, we're not smart, whatever it may be. And that, my friends, is the challenge that in large part has gotten us to where we are today, as has the false left-right paradigm, the lesser of two evils paradigm. It happens all the time. I've been watching this and analyzing this and actively participating in the animating contest of freedom for over 23 years now, going on 24 years. And I don't say that to toot my own horn. I just share because I have some perspective that's given me perspective to have been awake ever since a few months after 9/11. I've been observing and witnessing, and everyone's up in arms right now about Customs and Border Patrol. I remember when the Department of Homeland Security was created, and I was against it then. So I'm just trying to share some perspective. And above all else, I'm trying to help you remember who you really are. We are powerful, creative human beings who do not need to abrogate responsibility for creating a better world to any other human being, especially somebody that is completely faulted, a total sinner, and not worthy of our respect in the least bit, not worthy of respect, let alone worthy of us putting hope and faith that they're going to bring about the change that we so desire. That is BS. And this brings me to the spiritual thing that I want to share. And let's get back to Most Dope. This is why I like doing the show live. And thank you, Most Dope. I appreciate you watching, and not trying to pick on you here, but Most Dope says, it sounds like you're speaking for yourself. But me personally, I love Trump. You're right about both parties being the same, but this is why everyone came after him. I just want to encourage you to, so I'm afraid, like, I just want to challenge you. If we were sitting here today having a beer or sitting on a park bench, just relaxing, having an intellectual conversation, you're doing this phenomenon where you keep going off of these other things. They came after him, Russia hoax, the Democrats, Obama, Biden, right? But you're not addressing this key thing here. So I want to challenge you to come back here, because I could respond to the point you just brought up, but I'd rather challenge you to say, like, hey, if you don't mind, Most Dope 2536, my man, if you wouldn't mind pointing out in the comment, why do you believe it is that Trump and Pam Bondi are failing to hold anyone accountable for the most egregious actions some of the most egregious actions human beings could take part in, actions that are universally rejected almost across civilization? If we could just focus on that one thing, instead of going off into defending Trump and the Democrats did this, and what about Russia, Russia, Russia? Just really want to encourage you to just like focus on this one thing here. And I'd love to hear your feedback on that. Now, let me get into a little spiritual piece on this stuff here. I just want to share that I firmly believe that, I firmly believe that what's taking place in the Epstein files is a reflection of the sin that permeates throughout humanity. And when I say sin, I mean a separation from God. I mean that we've lost our way. And one thing that came up for me, I'm going to get a little vulnerable here, is we're all witnessing like Epstein's personal affairs and correspondence and all the ugly stuff that he's into, it's like all just thrown out in the public. And I just want to challenge folks, like, would you feel comfortable if all of your personal affairs and all of your weird sexual stuff and all of your intimate details about how you live your life was shared out in the public? Because while I feel as though I'm a better man nowadays, I sure as hell wouldn't feel very comfortable if all of my stuff was thrown out there into the public, which brings me to the point that a lot of what we see taking place with Epstein right now is a reflection of the separation from God that we're all experiencing right now. And the fact that there's a lack of accountability, the fact that the United States citizenry has manifested a government, the fact that people are still supporting Donald Trump illustrates that Trump, MAGA, Pam Bondi, and the deep state Democrats, DNC faction, Kamala, weird wokeness, it's a reflection of America. It's a reflection. The sin of the government is a reflection of the sin of the people. It's because we lost our way. We lost a connection with the divine. We forgot about the reverence of humanity. The fact that this could be taking place right now, that young girls could be treated this way. And then men do nothing about it. Because you know what men are doing? Men are giving up their power, expecting Trump, hoorah, come save the day to solve the problems for us. And frankly, I'm fed up with it and I'm tired of it myself. And now what else is taking place? Let's see. I saved this search here. This was the search for. So let's get into some solutions here. Let me see. But our good friend Most Dope responded to my specific question. So I appreciate that, Most Dope. And again, thanks for joining us, Most Dope. I hadn't seen you in the comments. Guys, I want to invite you. We know not now, 2247, Viva Cristo Rey. That was actually the Catholic church my mom used to go to down in the east side of Boston. Cristo Rey is what it was called. Viva Cristo Rey 25, Network Metatron, old Ryan Manitti. I want Vanessa Velez. I know you guys are probably subscribed. I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel, guys. We're trying to get the channel growing, and I'm going to continue to do the live program so we can engage, so we can interact. We're going to be focusing heavily on making this show as impactful, enjoyable, entertaining as possible. So I want to thank you guys for being on the ground floor as the rocket ship prepares to take off. But there's obviously an injustice taking place, and Most Dope says Pam Bondi needs to be fired. The DOJ blocked the names, not Trump personally. Okay, so here we go. Remember, I also think a bunch of people will be busted soon, but I don't know why they have not been busted yet. I tell you what, there's a lot of Trump supporters that have been waiting for these arrests. Let me see if you remember this chant. Lock her up, lock her up, lock her up. Now Clinton and Trump, Bill Clinton and Hillary, they're all chummed out again. It's a freaking World Wrestling Federation, WWE, psyop, fake, false dog and pony show meant to distract you and get you to continue forgetting who you are, continue caught in this deception and psyop. So Most Dope, let me tell you, you can't have it both ways, because I have a feeling if you're a Trump supporter, you love Trump, you probably appreciated this idea, this image that was created around Trump. And to be honest, there's a lot of truth to it, because I've studied Trump as an entrepreneur in depth. I've read Art of the Deal. I've watched endless documentaries on Donald Trump. I'm really fascinated by the guy, fascinated by Jeff Bezos, by Steve Jobs, by Walt Disney, by Elon Musk. They're doing huge, big things. And I like to study those folks to see how I can apply their principles and strategies to what I'm doing in my life. I'm also just fascinated by men and women that do like crazy, big, amazing things in the world. And Donald Trump did just that. And so, yeah, he's a powerful guy who knows how to get stuff done. And the Trump world at the same time was like, he's so powerful. He's going to come and clean house. He's going to drain the swamp. It's Donald Trump, Art of the Deal. Let's go. So that's one position. But then on the other hand, he's not even bold enough to rein in Pam Bondi. or to lead his administration in holding these people accountable, or to come in and completely arrest all of the deep state cabal because he's playing politics. You can't have it both ways. So again, when you could just like think objectively, think critically on this stuff, you kind of see that there's this false paradigm here that is illogical. But when you're tied up in emotion, when you've tied your ego into another human being, then it makes it more difficult to think critically. Am I getting through to you, most dope? Am I just blowing smoke here? I hope it makes sense, because I think that it makes quite a bunch of sense, right? And I could tell that you'd rather talk about how much of a lunatic left we have and the left is woke and all this stuff, rather than sticking with the point here, which is trying to be a little self-reflective on why we could allow ourselves to be loyal to somebody that obviously is not in alignment with what we desire or what we had hoped. And again, I just want to bring it back to it's okay. We make mistakes here and there. But what are we going to do about it? Well, we got to vote in the midterm elections. That's what we're going to do to make sure the Democrats maintain power. That'll sure change things. I tell you what, boy. We just got to vote harder. We just got to make sure the local state house seat doesn't get occupied by a Democrat, and that's going to change everything. Because that's what's changed in the past decade. I tell you what. Well, I see Network Metatron already's got the right idea over here. Here's what some people are thinking they want to do. So this is, again, that really ugly Epstein file that was released. Oof. Here's what some people are saying. You're not mad enough. You do not hate. You do not hate the government enough. You do not hate the elites enough. We need a revolution. White men need to unite. Nothing else matters. Arr. Look at this guy, AP Hill Legacy Foundation. This made me ill to read. How much more evidence does a prosecutor need, for God's sake? The DOJ, let me tag her. I'm going to tag her. That's my bold action for the day. That'll show Pam Bondi. I'm going to tag her on Twitter. The Department of Justice needs to act before we, the people, take matters into our own hands. Vigilante justice. Woo. 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 Oh, my friends. So people are angry. People are outraged. What if that was part of the PSYOP too? What if part of the PSYOP was to demoralize you and to make you feel completely disillusioned? Let's take it a step deeper too. And this is something that Derek Bros brings about. Remember, it's layers. This is one thing I learned during my separation. Me and the soon-to-be ex-wife separated, going through divorce. And when the separation happened, I was like, man, I gotta figure myself out. She ran away from me because I got all these issues. Let me start diving really deep into self-development. It's because I have a short temper and I can be controlling and my communication isn't in alignment with who I want to be. Let me study nonviolent communication and focus heavily on needs and feelings and emotions and go see a therapist. And I was like, okay, I really dialed that in pretty damn well. I was impressed with myself on several occasions, heated moments where I would have lost my shit in the past, but instead, what are they feeling right now in this moment? I also quieted my ego, going on a little side quest. But in those moments, I was able to quiet my ego, where my ego's little insecure ego wasn't like, this can't possibly be. They're giving you feedback about how you make them feel and how you treat them. This can't be true, because we need to make sure that you feel strong and you're a good person. And we got to figure out some reason why this can't be the case. Or maybe, in fact, it's their fault because of something they did. You quiet that and you're like, let me just listen for a little while without that little voice trying to interfere with me genuinely receiving another human being's feedback about how my actions affect them. How about that for a moment? But what if it's the case that they're trying to get you to just completely lose your ability to believe in yourself, to believe in how we can bring about change in this world? and instead get you all amped up, all riled up, and get your ego all jacked up. So all that you want to do is go attack and get angry. You're so overwhelmed, you're so disillusioned, you're so demoralized that you no longer believe there is hope. And here's the next layer. So I was saying, peel back, get back to my point, kind of lost my train of thought there. I thought that the communication was the first layer. Maybe that's when I go on a random side quest, now to bring it back. I figured out the communication thing. I quieted my ego and I started receiving people's feedback and then responding with feelings and needs to the best of my ability. It's still a work in progress. And then I thought I had everything figured out. Everything's going to be great. Oh, but there was another layer of work that needed to be done. Turns out that I'm obsessed with my work to the point where I'm avoiding human relationships and the weight of my home life and a lot of responsibilities. I just go hide out in work. Oh, and in turns I'm not paying attention to the needs of those around me. Another layer of growth. Okay, and so to bring it back to our point here with the Epstein stuff, a lot of people are doing this total surface level. Left versus right. It's Obama and Biden. That's the problem. That's my left-right paradigm voice, by the way. It's Obama and Biden. It's the deep state. They created a trap for Trump so that we would think he was one of Epstein's friends, and he himself is a problem with this Epstein stuff. It's the left-right paradigm, the most surface level, just like, come on, man, we could all do better than that by now. Please, at least the very least, peel back a layer so you no longer believe in the false left-right paradigm. That one's just a classic, simple one. But if you need time, it's okay. Just take your time, quiet your ego. You peel it back a step further. What if they are protecting Israel, and Israel has mass influence over global affairs, especially the United States of America? That's what this is about. Let's peel it a step further back. What if they're actual satanic, they're like really Satanists, and they're into some dark energy, and they know that sacrificing human beings helps to strengthen Satan's power and dominion on earth? Let's take it a step further back. Peel another layer of conspiracy and research and analysis. And this brings me to the layer that Derek Bros brings up all the time, which I think is pretty fascinating. What if part of the intent here is to erode our faith in the institutions that we all utilize to create a civil society, government, the justice system, the media, the schools, the economy? What if part of this, the point, and this is that deeper level shit. This is like the back room, deep Illuminati conversation on how we could play this game. That's the kind of strategy that they're employing, by the way. Meanwhile, everybody's stuck on layer one, fighting with each other, race war, left, right, woke this, conservative that. We're all up here. Not me. I'd at least like to think I'm a couple layers deep, but everybody's on the surface with a thumb up their butt and debating about this and at odds with their neighbor when they're like, yeah, let's get some intergenerational plans in place. And in order to finally be successful in completely controlling and dominating the entire global population, we're going to need to implement our technocracy, our scientific dictatorship, surveillance, central bank digital currencies, controlling everybody's movement, social credit scores. Okay, but how are we going to get them to accept that? Because we tried this back in the day in the 20s. And it didn't go anywhere. In fact, it totally failed and flopped on its face. It seems like in order to get people to go along with it, we're going to have to get them to lose faith in the institutions that they grew up with. The whole political system and capitalism. So how can we do that? Well, let's just do a really crummy job operating them. Let's make sure nobody's held accountable in the least bit. Let's get Donald Trump to come in and completely eviscerate the media. Right? Let's just wreck the economy with the stupidest policies and let everyone get away with inflating the currency and racking up all sorts of debt on stupid investments. And then let's bail them out instead of letting them fail and the market decide. We can help people to lose faith. Maybe we could also employ a false alternative media And we could have influencers that people think are actually conspiracy researchers and on the side of freedom, when in all reality, they are part of the psyop as well. And then once people lose faith in that system, they'll practically be begging for us to come in and implement our artificial intelligence government. And boy, oh boy, if there's one person that embodies this more than most, it's Alex Jones. I mean, come on. Even Joe Rogan, too, has talked on multiple occasions about artificial intelligence government. But Donald Trump is towing the party line, hook, line, and sinker for Alex Jones is towing the party line for old Donald Trump, big time. So what if layers deep, the program is actually, it's okay that everything's fallen apart. It's okay that people have massive distrust in the system, because we're aiming to abandon that system altogether and replace it with a system of scientific dictatorship, where people are ruled not by human beings and politicians or even satanic pedophiles. Well, maybe this is actually the beast system. Maybe this is what Satan's aims are altogether. Maybe that is a satanic technocracy. Lots to contemplate there. But that's a different layer. And so we got folks like just staying on the surface. It's the Democrats, it's the deep state. When the game that the predator class, the game that our enemies, the enemies of freedom, are playing, it's a whole nother level of psyop and chicanery. But I'm totally with it. We should replace the government system. It isn't functioning. It's hierarchical, it's centralized, and it's not in alignment with the values and needs of the people. It's rather corrupt. It's been corrupt for quite some time. We most definitely don't want to replace it with a technocratic totalitarian dictatorship in the least bit, right? But what should we replace it with? What if we, the people, could remember that God has gifted us with the ability to create. We are creative beings. And we actually have the divine mandate to steward this beautiful planet. But because we've forgotten who we are, we've abrogated that responsibility to politicians. So what if we remembered how powerful and creative we are, and instead we decided to architect a world and create systems that actually serve us, that are in alignment with our values and our principles, that future generations could inherit? Which brings me to exit and build strategy. But before we get into exit and build strategy, I want to pause real quick to shout out one of our sponsors that helps to make this program possible, Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. They have what's called the Wolf Pack. It's a monthly subscription program that enables you to essentially set it and forget it. You can set it and forget it and order as low as $50 worth of precious metals that's shipped directly to you every single day. livefree.academy/wolfpack. Use coupon code LIVEFREE and they'll send you some free junk silver. And wouldn't you know it, I just happened to get a recent order. So let's go ahead and take a look at what they got. I order $125 worth of silver, tradable silver, I should say, every single month. And I've been ordering it for quite some time, since that silver was like worth $50. It's now like 80 bucks or so. So let's just take a quick peek and see what we got. Again, the website is livefree.academy/wolfpack, livefree.academy/wolfpack. We're going to cut this open here with this trusty pocket knife. All righty. And let's see the goodies that they got. Again, hope you didn't see the address there. Thankfully, it's my mailbox. They send it in discreet packaging, and it comes out in this little black folder here. livefree.academy/wolfpack, livefree.academy/wolfpack. Looks like I got a gold back. Okay. This is probably worth about $9, $8 or $9. These are tradable 1/1000th of an ounce silver, or sorry, gold. Oh, there's actually 2 in there this month. That's pretty cool. What else do we have here? Oh, this is nice. I sure like it when they send me these walking Liberty silver ounces. These actually trade at a premium, a little bit more than the spot value. So I got myself an ounce, which is like $80. Looks like a little silver coin, not a silver dime, but probably the equivalent of a silver dime. An actual silver dime, junk silver, 1964 and sooner. Oh, there's a whole lot of junk silver in this one. And I got a $50, a quarter, and another dime. So these are 90% silver, and they're worth way more than 10, 25, and 50 cents. So the beauty of these is that they're tradable. You could take them to the local store. You could take them to local farmers market. You can start to find businesses in your local area that are willing to accept alternative currencies, so we can opt out of the beast system, the beast financial system. Again, that's livefree.academy/wolfpack, livefree.academy/wolfpack. Set up your monthly subscription today and use coupon code LIVEFREE to get some free junk silver in your first order. All right, let's get back to it. I need a little screen change at that time. It goes back something. Here, I'll do one real quick. All right, let's get back to the show. And we're back. Thanks for tuning in to Live Free Now show, bringing you the news, views, tips, and tools you can use to live free, prosperous, and healthy life. We're talking about the Epstein files and how Trump is completely corrupt and 110% in on the cover-up. We read an article earlier, not an article, we read a little excerpt from the Epstein files about some really, 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 really ugly stuff that's taken place. And I raised the question, hey, if Trump is allowing the perpetrators of this egregious action to live free, not bringing them to justice, how could we possibly say he's a good man? How could we possibly say he's on our side? Whew. And we started to explore, like, maybe this whole Epstein thing and maybe the United States government is simply an outward reflection of what's going on within the body politic, within ourselves. We're talking about self-reflection here. How can we become better versions of ourselves? How can we expect the external world to improve when we still got all sorts of treachery and sin within us that we need to focus on and address? But now we're going to get into some practical stuff here, because if in fact there is a psyop to erode faith, trust, and loyalty to the institutions that we've all grown up with, government, media, the justice system, the economy, in order to replace it with technocracy, that's ruled by scientific dictatorship and algorithms, social credit score, CBDCs, digital ID, you name it. What if there was something that we could do? What if we, the people, could take action into our own hands and create a world that we desire? Well, I tell you what, my friends, there is a way to do that. There's a strategy that we promote here on the Live Free Academy program, Live Free Now show, and our company, Live Free Academy. It's called Exit and Build Strategy. Exit and build strategy. So I get it. Folks are voting for Trump because they think he's going to bring the world into a better place, and we're going to upset the deep state Democrats. I get it. People are up in arms and they're like, we're demanding justice. We need to hold these folks accountable. What if the number one thing you could do, first of all, is leave it in God's hands to apply justice to these people? It's not your role to apply justice to evildoers on this planet, unless you personally are harmed and you're trying to hold someone accountable or you're trying to ward off an attack. By all means, more power to you. But is it your role to apply justice here, or is that God's role? It's definitely not the government's role. We would think it's the government's role, but that's not really what they're all about. The government's role is to protect its own. Just like the thin blue line in law enforcement, they ain't about holding each other accountable. They're a clique. It's a great big club of satanic pedophiles, and you ain't in it, my friend. So what can we do? How can we hold them accountable? What if we simply withdraw our consent to be governed by satanic pedophiles by employing a strategy known as exit and build? And to take it a step deeper, we begin to operate in the private realm, where we can keep more of our money and resources to ourselves and to our community and to our divine purpose. All right, so what is exit and build strategy? Exit and build strategy entails exiting the systems that we find to be morally reprehensible, that we find to be corrupt, that we find to be entirely out of alignment with the world that we desire. We exit those systems and institutions and we build new ones. Or we build new systems so as to more easily enable us to exit the systems that we disagree with. Or if we're not the building type and you're not going to see us setting up cryptocurrency projects or starting a homeschool co-op or whatever, we support those that are leading and building. Exit and build. Build so we may exit. What does this look like? All right, well, we know that the United States dollar is total fugazi BS. In fact, it used to be redeemable for precious metals for real money. Now, it's not in the least bit. It's this little fugazi thing that's known as a Federal Reserve note. Federal Reserve note. That's what it says right there. You guys have seen these bills before. Now, mind you, I'm not going to go throwing these bills away or burning them by any means, but I much prefer to hold value and to utilize alternative currencies, which didn't even used to be the alternative, in these precious metals here. You see? So exit and build. We exit our reliance on the Federal Reserve System, which inflates the currency and it loses value, and it uses this money to prop up foreign governments like Israel and to fund foreign wars of aggression. We exit the banking system, which now I count, I'm not banned from this bank yet, but they indicated they no longer want to do business with me. I just haven't gotten back with them to withdraw my money, but that'll be the second bank that I've been debanked from, right? The banking institution, you don't control your money. You don't actually have a right to that money. They can deny you that money. Same thing with any centralized exchange or any centralized platform. All right, so we exit this financial system and we build a new system that's based on real money, on people trading amongst themselves outside of their system. What does that look like? It looks like alternative currencies. It looks like cryptocurrency, decentralized privacy-based projects, especially. Exit the banks, build alternative currency networks. What else? Well, what if we exit our reliance on centralized food systems? We all know that it's corrupt. I'm not a big fan of Bobby Kennedy. He's done quite a few good things, but he's also done some bad things as well. But one of the things that he is doing a good job of is helping to push into the culture this idea that we should be eating whole, real food, right? It seems pretty obvious, but some people need a little bit of a nudge. But at the same time, unfortunately, he's promoting wearable devices. He's obviously controlled by Israel as well. I heard Bobby Kennedy was on the Lolita Express, but he brought his wife and kids with him. That's even weirder. It's not funny, actually, after what we just read. Oh, boy. We exit reliance on centralized food systems, which are not only fake food, franken-food, but also part of a very vulnerable food supply chain. We exit the grocery store, we exit dependence on centralized food chains, and we build resilient local food chains based on permaculture and regenerative agriculture practices. What does that look like? Well, it looks like growing your own food in your backyard, on your homestead. It looks like supporting local farmers. It looks like joining a community-supported agriculture program. It looks like helping people to set up gardens in their backyards, all right? What else? We exit reliance on big tech, and we use encrypted messaging applications, right? Now, I tell you what, I'm not perfect in these areas, but the idea is this is total control, dependency on centralized systems. This is living 110% free outside of the system. We slowly but surely work our way towards greater independence. That's what it's all about, my friends. This is the essence of exit and build strategy. And the hope is that we do so much work in the present moment over the next several years, maybe even decades, that the future generations, our progeny, our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, all the way down to 7 generations, because we're thinking intergenerationally, just like the predator class is, they're able to inherit systems that they can be proud of, where they don't have to owe allegiance and loyalty to pedophile Satanists, or they don't have to owe allegiance and loyalty to the very people that cover for pedophiles and Satanists. They can be proud My parents, my grandparents left me a legacy of liberty. They cared about me. They extended beyond their own selfish needs and started asking, how do my actions in the present moment affect the coming generations? They cared enough to peel layers back. They cared enough to quiet their ego and ask themselves, maybe I've been going about my life in the wrong way. Maybe I've been focusing too much on my flesh and not as much on my spirit. Maybe I've been abrogating responsibility to other people to solve the problems that I'm well aware of in the world. Maybe a lot of it comes down to me, frankly, just being a bit lazy. Because all that stuff John Bush just shared about, acquiring precious metals and talking to business owners about creating alternative currency networks, growing my own food, removing myself from the banking system and learning how to use cryptocurrency. That stuff takes a lot of work. Frankly, I maybe just feel a little more content to sit on the couch and watch Netflix. And this outrage I have about the government, sometimes I can fix that need by watching documentaries on Rumble and sharing those documentaries with people. That feels like a bit of an outlet. Maybe, my friends, maybe the reason why we're not taking greater action is because at the end of the day, we don't believe in ourselves. And maybe we feel a little insecure and worried that if we were to take action, try to learn new things, we might mess it up. Maybe nobody comes to the meetup that we host. Maybe you're like me and only 2 people show up to the social dinner that you promoted. I tell you what, we had a damn good time. And there's another social dinner coming up on Thursday. And if it's the same 2 people, we're going to have a good time again. But I have a feeling there'll be a few more people. Maybe, just maybe, we forgot how powerful and creative we truly are. Maybe, just maybe, we forgot that God, the all-powerful creator of this universe, made us in his image. And I don't know about you, but when I think about that, when I meditate about that, I'm like, wow, that's a pretty powerful thing to understand. Maybe, just maybe, we forgot who we are. And I tell you what, my friends, it's by time we remember, because the future generations and our brothers and sisters that are alive in the present moment, they are counting on us. And they are waiting for us to remember. All right, my friends, I want to thank you so much for joining me today on the Live Free Now show. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel. We are going to be taking the show more seriously, bringing it in a more polished way, putting a little bit more prep into it. We have some sponsors that are helping us along the way. Also, my friends, I want to invite you, if you've been following the Epstein files, if you happen to be a Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency guy, you may be aware that there's actually some evidence in the Epstein files that Jeffrey Epstein, at the peak of the block size wars, basically a battle for the future of Bitcoin to determine, is it going to be digital gold, a store of value, like a financial instrument, or is Bitcoin going to be peer-to-peer electronic cash that would compete with the US dollar and truly embody its revolutionary roots? Well, during that time, Epstein was spending 500 grand more money to actually fund the developers of Bitcoin. Pretty crazy stuff, if you ask me. I want to invite you, my friends, to join me for a free webinar that I'm hosting. It's coming up Friday. It'll be live Friday, February 20th at 12 p.m. Central. You can join at livefree.academy/Epstein. livefree.academy/Epstein. And I'm going to share and answer the question, did Epstein secretly fund the hijacking of Bitcoin? So I want to invite you guys to register today, livefree.academy/Epstein. It's the Crypto Privacy Strategic Report, Did Epstein Hijack Bitcoin Special Edition. It's going down live February 20th, 12 p.m. Central. If you can't make it live, if you're watching the replay of this down the road, feel free to head to the link still, livefree.academy/Epstein. Epstein, livefree.academy/Epstein, and you will be able to sign up and access the replay at that time. All right, my friends. So again, livefree.academy/Epstein. It's going live February 20th, 12 p.m. Central. If you like what you've heard on the program today and you want to dive deeper on some of the solutions and also some analysis from a 10-year plus cryptocurrency veteran, 20-year plus cryptocurrency researcher, I invite you to join me here. And now we have a friend here joining us. Before we wrap up, why is it so tough to take someone seriously who hasn't questioned the nonsensical heliocentric spinning globe psyop? Once you figure out that, then more people will take you seriously. Well, truth be with you, my friend. Truth be with you. To tell you the truth be with you, I honestly haven't looked into it so deeply to formulate an opinion one way or another that I feel confident in sticking by. Is the earth round? It's very possible. I think it's probably likely, but is it flat? That's possible too. In fact, that's what the Bible describes. I'm a fan of the Bible myself. But at the end of the day, the time that I would take to really formulate, like, what do I really believe here? If the earth is round or flat, globe or flat, or even the heliocentric model. Did you even talk? I guess you didn't even talk about it being flat. You just talked about the heliocentric. Oh, you said spinning globe. Okay, so because the heliocentric is another thing too. I don't know that it would make a difference in my life, to be honest. I get it if some people wake up to that and they've never thought about other things they could be lied about. I don't know. But it doesn't, it's not my thing. If you can't take me seriously because of that, that's okay. There's 8 billion plus people on this globe. But yeah, again, if it's flat, if it's round, if it's flat, round, flat, people are still paying taxes to satanic pedophiles. They're still predator class, hell-bent on creating a totalitarian panopticon society. And I'm still going to try to be the best version of myself. I'm still going to show up for my kids. And I'm still going to run my company and serve my community, whether I live on a flat plane that's the center of the universe or a globe that's part of a collection of other globes that are rotating around the sun. It matters very little to me, to be honest. But I appreciate you tuning in today. And if you can't take me seriously, then maybe you won't tune back in, but I hope that you will, because we got a lot of stuff to share here on the program. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining us today on the Live Free Now show, where every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central, I bring you the news, views, tips, and tools you can use to live a free, prosperous, and healthy life. Until next Wednesday, my friends, stay free out there. Peace.